heretics a little bit.
Here's the thing, we didn't technically talk about Fnatic. We just referenced them in context of someone else. Because
Okay,
here's the problem. There's an obvious topic I have to bring up. It really is. You know, we talked on the last episode, or the one where they did the LCS rankings, about how sad it is that effectively we have to sort of retire shitting on TSM because they're not relevant. And they're at the point now where, like, you can't even make fun. Like, what made it funny in the past when TSM failed is they had, like, enormous rosters. Now they have, like, a whack one. Luckily, Monty, there are certain trends will always be evergreen. So you know what? Time to start hating on Rekkles again, innit? Because these were some mad, underwhelming games. What the hell? The only good one was on Sivir. Like, are you trying to play into the fucking meme narratives, homie? All you can do play is Sivir. Like, what is this? Like, because as I said it earlier, guys, as far as I've been told, and it seems legit from what I've checked out, they actually could just have Upset right now. Well, it sounds to me like Upset doesn't want to play on Fnatic, basically. So it's more that he didn't go to other teams and there was all shenanigans with that. By the way, I won't bring it up as a big deal, but spoiler. Did you see that little detail, like I referenced earlier, where Odoamne essentially like confirmed everything I fucking said in that like clip on stream, mate, where he just said like, it was actually egregious. In fact, you know what? Maybe we'll do 5 minutes on it. Because here's the problem I have is this. The reason I have to bring it up is this. To me, it's not a big deal. Teams do this shit all the time. If you don't know, there are plenty of teams that are mad cynical. Like they do it NFL style. Like, if I trade you, you're not going to my conference. Like, I'm sending you to a bad team. You know, they do all that. Like, my problem is this, Monty. People dragged Carlos over the fucking calls over the idea that he contract prisoned Perks, Wonder, and Mickey X and Rekkles, right? By the way, all of these players got sold eventually. All of them got sold. But the idea was, you're scum if you ever say to a player, look, I'll sell you, but I choose the team. Dude, as far as I can tell, Rogue/Koi have done this with Hans Sama and Odoamne now. They've just basically said, like, there's only these destinations you can go to. You're not even allowed to talk to this team. Like, they've been way more egregious by the sounds of it. Now, I don't have a problem with that, Monty. If you own someone's contract, by definition, I agree with Riot's approach. You have his contract. You decide who he talks to. My problem is this. I'm just saying it's the fan reaction. Like, this just shows how, if you don't have a big target like Carlos's big grinning, shit-eating grin, people don't get that mad. Like, Rogue the org, no one really cares. No one's that mad at them. They're like, whatever, they didn't sell him, who cares? Because that sounds like Odoamne got absolutely fucking screwed on that off-season, mate. Like, they were telling people during the year, oh, don't bother trying to talk to us about him at the end of the season. He's probably just going to retire. That's like, you're maliciously ruining someone's career then, mate.
Look, I'm digging into this right now, and I've heard some interesting, conflicting reports about this. Now, if the facts of the matter is that Odoamne was going to be a free agent, so I think it's different than like the Hans Sama thing that was happening, where he wasn't going to be under contract anymore. Like come November, you know, that was he could talk to anybody, right? And factually, he was not ever given a contract by Rogue at any point during summer or World. So, you know, he knew that he was out, basically. Like they hadn't offered him a deal. So there was going to be a point that he was entirely free. Now, it's also true that many teams, whether because they allow them to talk to other teams before, like they allow players to talk to other teams prior to their contract expiring, or because of, obviously, there are always like backroom conversations that happen.
Of course.
I mean, the poaching thing is a joke. We all know that. Where most, I would say many, not most, but like actually most is fair. Probably more than 50% of rosters are constructed or players are promised before the free agency window opens. So, you know, not being available during that free agency window can be harmful to players, because then they're just kind of thrust into a situation where they're filling holes in rosters that need them rather than being a priority pick that somebody's building around. Like that can happen. I have seen evidence that he was allowed to talk to different teams prior to, like, basically after they were eliminated from Worlds, is what I will say. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with this whole messaging right now, because there may be truth to, there may well be truth to, like, that Odoamne couldn't go to certain specific teams or was blocked from those conversations, but I do know that he was able to talk to certain teams and that he was never offered a contract, and so it should have been pretty clear. And as for like who told who that he was retiring. Like, I don't know about that.
Hey, let's be real. Under no circumstances ever should a GM be saying about a player who is no longer under contract to him, don't bother contacting him, he's going to retire. You should those words should never be coming at your mouth. Because if they do, that just like the only logical conclusion is you're trying to maliciously limit the person's career or your rival from getting a good player. Like,
and I'm just saying, I haven't seen any evidence.
Yeah, whatever.
I haven't seen any evidence one way or another on that one.
This wasn't just like a community rumor. This came from out of his mouth himself, so I thought it was worth putting on record anyway. But anyway, to go back on the Fnatic point, it is worth saying, I even said this earlier in this episode, Fnatic also did play a very hard initial group of teams, just like Excel. They basically played out the gate the hardest teams, so logically, I didn't expect them to win any of these games. I had them as like my 5th or 6th best teams. I think it was 5th. But I have to say, like, the Rekkles angle was a bit underwhelming. It actually did look a bit crap in these games, I've got to say.
I mean, especially in the G2 game. Look, I don't know what Fnatic was thinking in that game. You are playing against Draven, Nautilus, and Viego, and you're trying to 3v3 with a Sejuani, Zeri, and Yuumi? What the fuck? Like, that's not going to work in the early. You do not win that 3v3. And not only that, so they try and win the 3v3. They completely botch it on multiple accounts. Like, Rux gets caught off on the Yuumi and the tri-brush on the bot lane. He gets flashed on and the Nautilus rooted, so he can't reattach. And then after that, Rekkles like has a terrible flash where he flashes after the Draven axis in the air and then dies anyway. So we have just a conceptual mistake here where you just do not win that 3v3 if you're Fnatic. Second off, execution. And third off, just mechanical misplays. Like, it was gross. And then the game's just over. I mean, the game was just over from that point forward. You do not come back from that with that composition, but you just have to know better if you're a professional team. If you're a player like Rux making that mistake, yeah, he's new. Razork and Rekkles, like, come on. That's not something that you do at a professional level of this game. You have to know it's coming. It's so telegraphed. It's so obvious. You do not take those fights ever. And the worst thing is they kept taking the fights. They kept going after it. And I guess they thought, well, we've already lost, so we might as well just see if we can squeak something out here. But G2 certainly had their number.
Actually, because when Rekkles comes back, look, I know part of it was just a meme because of that show match, but they do treat him like the king of the LEC is back. Like, remember, guys, I'm just going to say it one more time because what I learned is the best way to hurt fanboys' feelings, Monty, is not with spicy opinions. It's with facts that fucking hurt them because the reality of it that they can't deny, it destroys them. So here's the fact that you say to annoy a fucking Rekkles fan. You go, king of the LEC. What, you mean because he won 4 LEC splits? Perks calls that a good 2 years. He's done it twice. Did it twice, boys. For his whole career, he's lapped him twice. Yeah, that's the king of the LEC, you morons, Perks. Here's the problem, right? Rekkles only was king of the LEC by default because he just stuck around the longest. Everyone else retired. Expected retired. Froggen wasn't even in the region. Forgiven years ago. Fucked his own career. So as bench. The joke is, in the modern day, he was only by default. Like, now it's fucking Caps and Perks and the king of the LEC. Grow the fuck up. That narrative is years old now, guys. Last time Rekkles won, it was in fucking 2018. 2018. It's 2023, for fuck's sake, guys. You're cocksuckers who in season 4, keep track, season 4, were telling me, stop going on about season 2, Thorin. That was years ago. Then you all now are like, Rekkles, I think he could be like contender for best ADC in the world. Like,
it's not even that.
I know how out of date your takes.
It's not even that. It's like Perks even left the league to give him a chance to.
I know. He did. He actually did. It's true.
And then he got on Perks' team and he fucking took Perks' spot.
Well, by the way, to segue this back in, he won't be winning on this team. Like this, but look, again, I'll say they did play a hard schedule, but this Fnatic team just looks like, mate, the problem with this roster is look, the Rux pickup looks like a good one. I'll give them credit again. They also actually looks like a nice pickup, but I just don't know, like this team still lacks something to me. There's a bit of like identity or cohesion I haven't figured out yet with this squad, All
right. There are positives. I think Humanoid and Razork look like they actually have some level of synergy to start this season, which we didn't expect after it never happening last year. So that's like, I think, a positive development. Wonder, now one of his signature champions has always been Gragas, and he's a fucking amazing Gragas player. And he's put his team in, had opportunities to win on that champion. So if their bot lane can fall in line, or at least follow the path that Razork and Humanoid are carving out for them, I think this could be a decent team. Because the biggest thing to me is
I mean,
the Razork Humanoid
team,
synergy.
you know.
If Razork Humanoid synergy suddenly and magically gets solved this year, they could be pretty good.
Sure. What a world. What a fucking world, boys. What a world. I do appreciate, though, because remember, look, the problem with this one is, again, statute limitations. I have to keep it all fucking just funny and light for now. Technically, Mickey X and Rekkles have played together, guys. Who knows? Do they like each other? Do they vibe? Well, all I'm going to say is, mate, I loved it in that fucking G2 Fnatic game where Mickey X just like walked up, ignite, just like...
That was
so stupid. I know. I was laughing so hard.
Where he just ignites him.
I was laughing so hard at that clip, mate. It was so funny. It was so good. That was the ultimate like needle right there. Like, I know that was great. That was legitimately just brought a smile to my face that moment, mate. He was so chatted as well. I know.
I was really wondering when he was walking up what was going to happen. I was like, is he gonna like stop him with a Nautilus hook? Like, what's he doing? And he just like ignites him and walks away.
I love it. It's chatted as fuck.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.